welcome back. Greetings and salutations, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries, to another installation, another episode. This is Black Seinfeld, the show about nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
My name is Giovanni Anglin. I go by many aliases, though. Trinidaddy, Panamanian Poppy, Rude Boy, Top Gunner, a.k.a. The Chosen One, a.k.a. Mr. Spring Ting, is ready to vibe with all the listeners. Hello.
Yo, what's going on? It's Bashtin, aka Black Superhero that can't get a bank loan. Recording live in Queens, Gio's in Brooklyn. What's going on, folks?
One of my favorite things to do before we do the show is to always play that Kanye West drop just to see your face, to be completely honest with you. It is hilarious. And the funny thing is, with that clip, the caption says Kanye West 2005 before he lost his mind. That's what it says.
Interesting. I wonder how or who asked them to write that clip, to record that clip. It does sound like it was done over the phone.
It definitely does sound like it was over the phone. And I wonder who in 2005 knew about Kanye West.
Yeah. No, everybody. This is college. This is late registration era.
That is true.
So he's been known for like Rockefeller stuff. He's already been known for his first album. So this is leads into the singles. Heard him say. Yeah. So yeah, that era.
Well, you're absolutely right about that, but I should have said who in WBAI knew to get Kanye West or even knew Kanye West.
That's a different era. I think that era was balanced.
You think so?
Not as balanced as it is today. You know, it's not balanced at all. But maybe they had like 2 or 3 more heads to do the extra questions. Like, hey, since you're here, want to do a drop for us real quick?
You might be onto something there. Shoot, was Kanye West actually on BAI or I don't even know. You're the wrong person to ask this.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either, man. How have you been?
But let the people know where to find us and who we are.
Oh, that's right. Apologies. Well, if this is your first time listening to us, we also double as a podcast, but welcome to all of our radio listeners tuning in at 99.5 FM WBAI in the NY. But as I mentioned before, we are also available as a podcast. So you can now go to blackseinfeld.com. Again, that is blackseinfeld.com to get all of the latest and older episodes. And when I mean older, I mean 2020 episodes. And we continue to upload older episodes. We're probably going to stop at the first ever episode that we've done here at WBAI, which was back in September of 2017. I was 22 years old. Bashtin just turned 23 a couple months ago. And you guys and ladies and non-binaries, y'all can all tune in and listen to the growth, listen to the expansion, listen to how far we have came from then until now. I mean, kudos to Tony Bates, who gave us the opportunity, and Bertol Reimers, who were the first people to give a couple of knuckleheaded kids an opportunity to come on the radio, to spit that intellectual ignorance. It was back then, I would say it's like 90% ignorance, 10% intellectual. Now I would say it's
50-50.
I was going to say 60% ignorance, 40% intelligence, but okay, 50-50 is fine. We find a different balance. We found a shift to this thing. We find a feng shui.
I think since we moved from the 1 hour to the 2 hour show, I think that's what kind of brought the 50-50 compared to when we had 1 hour. We need to give it like 10 or 15 minutes to politics so we could talk about the funnies.
That is true. And I would like to say Black Seinfeld was the first place to A, announce that Joe Biden was going to run for president, and B, say that he was going to win the presidency and win the Democratic nomination too. That was all from Mike the intern. He called it. And I remember back then where people came up to us and they were like, hey, you can't be saying any of that stuff because Joe Biden didn't formally announce that he was doing it and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then look at us. We were right the whole time. And look at him now, 46th president of the United States. That was us here at Black Seinfeld. Shout out to you, Mike. We love you.
That was a Mike classic right there. I can never forget that day. He said that. It's like, what? Come on. He's not running. The next thing you know, we voting. Who
and we
voted?
voted for him.
Who voted?
I know I voted for him. Shoot, unfortunately.
Pain and suffering. But hey, Gio, how's it been? What you up to? What you been up to?
A week since I got my first dosage of the Pfizer vaccination, and I feel chipper. I feel happy. I feel strong again. I feel like myself. After I get the second dosage, which is going to be the first week of April, I think I'm going to go back on my grind. I'm going to start feeling like myself again. I'm going to start going back to gyms, going back to movies, going out to these
But
streets.
you
You know what I'm
still
saying?
gotta be mask on.
Oh, dude, definitely still gonna be mask on. I'm not gonna lie though. I'm not advocating if you get both vaccines, if you get the both dosage of your vaccine to take your mask off. But I'm not gonna lie. The first time where I took the first dosage, I didn't want to wear my mask anymore. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm still gonna have to wear it because you have to go into the establishments that you want to go into and they require to have your mask on. But one thing I am going to carry around with me for the foreseeable future is when you get your vaccine, they give you like a report card or whatever, and you get to I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get that laminated so that way, I get to show
You
people
gonna
off
keep
like,
it
hey,
clean.
keep it clean, keep it clean. Like, hey, you already know I'm vaccinated. I'm good. It's not me.
You gonna
But
keep it.
mark my words, though. Once I get that second dosage, I've been hearing a lot from friends and family. My friend Bianca just got her second Pfizer shot Tuesday because today's technically Thursday now, and Wednesday she hit me up and she did start getting a fever.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie,
Same thing with
that's
both my friends.
yeah,
Second
that is a
shot.
common thing. That is a common thing that has been occurring. My other friend Walter, who is a teacher, he's been fine after his second Pfizer shot. So I guess it varies on person to person. So I'm not I'm not excited to go and get this done. I'm just interested to see what happens to me, how my body reacts. Because the first time around, my body was like, "What the f is going on right now?" And I did feel a bit ill for like about an hour or two, but then once I knocked out and I woke up, I felt fine. So I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna have to take more of that Boku immunity pack or whatever that BAI keeps pillaging to the to the listeners. I'm not gonna lie though, it has been working.
Oh, you've been taking it?
Oh, 100% I've been taking it. I've been taking it since the pandemic started, and I have not been sick since. So I don't I guess this is like a paid advertisement. Well, not paid for us, but it's an advertisement for the Boku Super Immune Pack. If you need that Boku, it is legit. I've been using it nonstop every day since last March, and I haven't been sick once. It's been
Interesting.
working.
Interesting. I know your body has to be sick at least like once a year, so it could just kind of refresh itself. But
Are you starting to get sick now since it's spring? I know you get the sinus thing.
the sinus thing has started kicking. It's kicking my ass for the past week or so. So I've been drinking more warm water, but I think it's been a bit better. Well, I've been
Mm,
trying to. I think I said this in the older episodes. I use like an air filter. So now
yeah,
I have to use the air filter a little bit longer. Usually I leave it on for an hour or two, but now I kind of have to leave it for like 8 hours, and it does help me a lot compared to the winter versus the spring. And we're in spring. It's official.
we are in spring. Spring Tings happened March 20th, and Saturdays were a bit different for me because normally I work afternoons into the nighttime, but last Saturday and this Saturday coming up, I worked mornings. So it was nice actually coming into to work and watching the sunrise. I like going on the roof to see that happen, and it started to get warm. So I decided to wear green because green is very spring. You got pink on. I like
Yeah,
wearing bright colors during the springtime, some yellows, some greens, some sky blues.
yeah. Bring the white teas out. Perfect time.
Absolutely. Yes, bring the white tees out. Nice jackets, don't go too heavy. You know what? This is the time where I bundle up a little bit during the morning time because it's still cold, but then as the time progresses, as the day moves on, it starts to get warmer. So I'll take off a sweater maybe and just leave the jacket on. we're in that weird little area.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't know. A little fun fact. So
What's that?
since spring, uh, 2.5 minutes are added a day of sunlight, of daylight in a way. So that's how it
Mm.
kind of works. That's why you keep doing it for a month, you get like an extra hour. So that's why by the time we hit like August, it's so bright until like 8 o'clock. Then out of nowhere it hits fall, then back to darkness.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Two
I
and a
didn't know
half
that.
minutes a day of daylight daily.
I know that there's some states that want to get rid of the whole daylight savings time. They just want to stay in this time now. They
I
don't want to
agree.
go back an hour because they're like, man, screw the farmers.
No, the farmers never did daylight saving apparently.
Really? The farmers never did it?
No, it's
That's
one of
weird.
those. No, see, it's one of those nonsensical lies that like teachers will repeat that they learn from their
Oh,
teachers, but it's not
come
true. It
on.
doesn't come from anywhere, if anything.
So why do we do it?
No one really remembers.
Because in the Caribbean, they don't do it. Like
No, they
Trinidad,
don't.
that's not a thing.
No, they don't do it.
They do it in Haiti too, or
No,
no?
no,
Yeah, that's not a thing in where we're from. Like, it's not a thing at all.
no. It's not. It's not a thing, and it shouldn't be a thing. But it's kind of part of our tradition now. As Americans, we have traditions, and daylight saving is one of them.
There's like a state though that doesn't do it at all. I don't know whether it's like Arizona or somewhere, but like they don't do it.
Really? That'll be
Yeah.
interesting because everybody has kind of this line that we're all going towards, and if you want to be a no Pacific time, it's gonna be Pacific +1. Is that what you're gonna do?
I mean, I guess I don't know.
All right, but
I'm not
yeah.
I'm not in the Pacific, so shout out to everyone in the Pacific though that listen to Black Seinfeld because there's a lot of y'all apparently. There's a lot of y'all in the California, North and South. Shout out to everyone in Seattle, Washington that listen. We appreciate y'all. There's a lot of people now listening to us in Texas over in the South because of our Texas episodes. So we appreciate you, Texas.
Yeah. Shout out to New York listeners too, but the East
Oh
Coast
yeah, shout
listeners,
out to
it's
the New York
late. It's
listeners.
late, definitely. Listening to radio late. Listening to us, and we're not even playing music all day.
Word.
So yeah.
One day, I don't know. One day, I just felt like we should just play music just for the 2 hours, just to see what happens. I
Yeah.
remember one time. I remember one time on a Saturday a there was a scheduled program that was supposed to be going on. I think it was some sort of. It had to have been the audio plays, but the audio kept messing up because they do them live and they did them through Zoom. So the audio was just so poor. It was horrible. The vocals were off, the quality was shoddy. There was this weird echoing. It was bad. So what I did was I just called an audible and I just DJ'd for the hour and people loved it.
Hey, if something's going wrong, music always saves lives.
That is true. And for Stacey Dash, I feel like music cannot save her. She has to run back to the church in order to get back on the good graces of Black America.
Yo, I removed that from the list.
You did?
Yes.
Why? I want to talk about Stacey Dash.
There's
Trying to come back to Black America.
There's literally nothing interesting about Stacey Dash. If you want, because the whole story about Stacey Dash, she was on the Fox News, and she was saying a lot of conservative things for a very long time.
She was a staunch Republican for a while now, for like a decade.
Yeah, decade's a long time.
Mhm.
And you want to do this kind of redemption story. If it wasn't for COVID,
Mhm.
most people would do the Comedy Central roast as a way to kind of redeem yourself. But, we're kind of beyond the roast now without getting problematic.
Black people don't do that though when they try to get back to the Discord. Black people they always try to go to the church.
Though? Saying that's
She's
the Discord.
To James Dash.
That's true. So
she was. Let's not forget, Stacey Dash was a prominent figure in Black culture. Okay,
most BET movies have her in a role.
I mean, we love Clueless was great, but she was also in the Kanye video "All Falls Down." She was on those hip hop magazine covers, bare ass out. Okay, let's not forget that Stacey Dash was a crush for a lot of us. Okay,
so that makes me wonder,
growing up,
for her to get towards like starting in hip hop, then somehow just getting all the way to a conservative person on CNN. Does that say something about the hip hop? If she's always surrounded by the people in the hip hop community,
I don't think she was always surrounded by people in the hip hop community. Someone has to whisper something in their ear.
well, it's all relative. Like it's all related. You could be a one part of the community and still bump into like TV, radio, music. Somebody or some people within the circle do have these conservative point of views. Of course, they don't say it out loud,
That is true.
right? You know how everybody was upset with how 50 felt about Biden talking about increasing taxes for people making over $400,000,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
wasn't with it, and everybody's like, "Oh, but like I'm a longtime 50 Cent fan, and I know he has conservative point of
Oh,
views."
at the
Uh,
end of the day, 50's a businessman too. Are
it,
you crazy?
exactly, and that's something I learned in college for my business degree in marketing. That's literally I had a professor from I forgot what of ethics. I had ethics professors say like you have to think like them if you want to
Mm,
make money, because if you're not thinking like them, you're not going to survive in the workplace. And it's true, you know. But I didn't think like that when I was in the corporate workplace. But it
be-
it kind of changed when you leave because you're no
'cause that was
longer in
my
a bubble.
question. That
Yeah,
was going to be my question to you. If when we get money on this is, and we're also Caribbean too, and Caribbeans we do come from somewhat of a conservative upbringing, not radical conservative, but we have traditional views and all that
not
stuff.
my household, but
Not
every
yours?
other household next to my household. Yes, I very
Yeah.
concerned. Not my household.
Yeah.
It's just a luck in the space and time.
But my question is, once we get money from this, right, and we start profiting, will there be some sort of 50 cent views of taxation and things of that nature?
Not
Because I think about that sometimes.
The way I look at it is like if we were to pay someone that like then we'll get an accountant, right?
Mhm.
In order for us to do write offs. We're not just gonna pay people out of pocket. It's like, no, we still wanna, write it off. We're gonna pay our taxes right. So I think there will I won't call it conservative, but there will be like this capitalist business mind to it in order for us not to just like spend money and just all disappear. It's like we still want to save and earn and make a living out of it. We want to
So
build too. So yeah.
so that means, Bashton, that you try to die so you can be the hero, but now you're living long enough to see yourself become the villain,
The
huh?
only
The
villain,
capitalistic villain.
the only see, here's the thing: the only
Yeah.
timeline villain if we hire people and don't pay them at all, like we do internships and not pay them, right?
Okay.
Like we do internships, but not really. Like they give us
No, we
interns.
don't.
We
We get interns.
we
That
get.
is a
You're right.
different
You're
thing.
right. We don't interview
We don't.
anybody.
Yeah, and to be fair, hey, shout out to everyone who's interned for us. Shout out to Georgina. Shout out to other people. Oh, shout out to Keyshawn Lucky, who was supposed to be our intern, but COVID messed that up.
Yeah, we would
Um,
definitely put them on the radio. We put
yeah, we'll
every
put you on the
intern
radio.
if
But
you
to
could
be
come at
fair,
5 a.m. though.
right. To be fair, we never wanted an intern. But if we did get an intern, we would just treat him like a regular person, because we would just, hey, come through. Shows at 5 in the morning. If you can come through, great, because this is the only time you're ever gonna learn stuff from us is if we are both here and we show you what's going on. Other than that, like, there's nothing for you to do because we do everything ourselves.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like later on, we have like a profit margin, right?
Mhm,
A decent profit margin. Then
mhm.
yeah, I'll pay someone to edit videos and I'll pay someone to edit the audio and do the social media because
Yo,
I don't want to do it.
yo, I went on the Clubhouse, right? And a lot of these podcasters are outsourcing. So they're paying like $5 to some team over in the Philippines or whatever to do all that stuff, the social medias and all that. I don't think that's cool.
And that's like the
Personally,
bad timeline, and right?
personally, yeah.
That's the evil villains. Like you took you this pure capitalism. You try to export it somewhere for cheaper because you don't want to pay the value for it. Then when you get upset, no one's paying paying value for your work or what you provide. It's like yeah, because that's how the system works, and that's why the system is bad.
Hey, I agree. I
That's
agree.
why graphic designers don't like Fiverr, because you want to build a logo. Well, it's going to cost you $3,000 to work with me. Why? Because of the years of experience that I have to back why I design your logo that way. Go on Fiverr for $5, just going to throw you some scratch. There you go.
Mm.
Like that
But
logo.
I thought with Fiverr, I know the basis of it can be $5, but depending on who the person is, they have like a package. They have a package deal of what you want, how expensive it's going to be, the time in which it's going to take for you to receive it, and the time that it's going to take from that person to actually create what you want.
Well, ideally, if you're creating something for a $5 package, you will have templates, right? You
Mhm.
just put one, two, three, put a color, bam, send it to you within an hour, and that's what you pay for. They might do like $5 one revision, right? If you pay for the $50 packet, all right, like two revisions. You pay more expensive, of course. We'll work. We'll talk to each other. Actually, this is a business
What if they're
deal.
a platinum member?
Yeah, it's a business deal. Like we got to talk now. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's just the way it is. That's why like
it is.
I have to edit the videos, just to do it, because I don't want to pay for anybody at
That's
the moment,
true.
because I don't have any money. So we're not in a
True,
profit
and
margin
you
right
also
now.
get a skill.
Yeah,
You also
new
get another skill to add on to your resume.
After Effects and Premiere. I'm telling you, those are really good products.
They
Uh,
are, but there is a huge learning curve that I warned you about.
yeah, it's at least 20 hours
Yeah,
each to like get it. So it's not something you could learn in 60-minute YouTube video. You actually
oh,
have to like
absolutely not.
do it over and over and over again. So yeah, After Effects is like really fun. Now I know
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Premiere is what they use to edit videos. I'm sorry, it's what they use to edit movies.
Oh, okay, that
If
makes
you're
sense.
really good on Premiere, that's what they use for documentaries and movies and filters, all that stuff, bro.
And
That's all
transitions,
Premiere.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I go
that's
cheap
all
with the
Premiere.
transition. For you
Yeah,
Premiere
man, this
heads
is a
out there,
pod.
I just Control A, then Control D, and Command D, and I just like fades it together.
Well, it's okay, man. You're not creating a documentary or a movie or anything. It's just a podcast, so things are a bit simpler, a lot simpler.
2 hours though.
That is true. It is 2 hours, but as you can see right now, we're doing great. I mean, I just got one of my favorite drinks, that yerba mate, so I'm on one right now. My brain is focused.
Interesting. I'm on just basic water always. Can't
You're
wait
not
to.
better than me, Bastion. Okay,
You have to learn how to kind of internalize the energy and save it for later.
I am. That's why I
I'm
didn't
joking.
drink
It's
this
not a
thing
real
out.
thing. It's not a real thing. You only do that in the daytime. But let's get into a little politics.
Let's get into the Biden Harris victory lap, I like to call it, or what they call the Help is Here tour. And for those of you who do not know, the Help is Here tour started about last week, and it is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's, I wouldn't even call it a campaign. It's just their way of promoting the fact that they passed the 1 point whatever trillion-dollar bill to help the Americans out that's been suffering with the with COVID, with everything that's been happening last year, right? And that includes the 1,400 STEMI check that Bastion, you didn't just get it, you got it last week, right?
Yeah, yeah. I got the same
Yeah,
time as
you got.
you.
Oh, right. You got the tax return. That's what it was. You got the tax return today. But what I think is interesting about this tour that they're going on or have been going on for the past week is the fact that they've been going to a lot of the battle states, right? They've been going to Pennsylvania and Nevada and Georgia, and I think that's a smart move on their part, because if you are a general elections results head like I was back in 2020, then you know that those are the prime battle states that determined why Joe Biden is even in the position that he's in now. Because back in 2016, when 45 won, those states such as Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and New
Georgia.
Mexico and Georgia and Nevada, all of those flipped red states. So now that in 2020 those flipped blue, Joe Biden wants to go to those
To kind of
states.
keep them.
Yes, exactly. Try and keep those states blue for the next election and for the Senate race, which I think is a smart move on their part.
It's going to be weird because of all the, especially in Georgia, when they passed the pretty
The
much.
voter suppression bill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to deal with that, the best thing you could do, and it's going to be difficult, but is to make federal laws against it. Because most of these laws are state laws, and I think that's what the biggest problems are. Because each state could deal with voter suppression the way they want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that gerrymandering is such like a big issue. It's like if everybody knows it's a big issue, then why can't they fix it on a federal level? Well, because of course they'll get stopped. Because then everybody's
Exactly.
going to create this like, oh, you're making it too easy for anybody to just vote. It's like, isn't that what we want to do as Americans, quote unquote?
Yeah, but see, here's the cleverness of a lot of these state senators that are predominantly red state, right? They're going to always talk about how the federal government wants to come in and tell us what to do and take our rights as Texans, as Georgians, as X, Y, and Z, right? So that's how they always push this narrative that big brother, which is the government, is going to come in and try and regulate how we as these people of this state live our lives. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, and that's the problem. It's like they don't want to be regulated, even though they should.
But here's the crazy thing about that, Bash, because according to a Pew poll, right, recently discussing the bill that was passed, 70% of Americans was for the COVID relief.
Yeah, I saw that poll too, actually.
And 41% of those American adults are Republicans, or they lean towards a right way of things. Not saying that the way that they lean is the right way of things, but their political values lean towards the right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like most Republicans do want these beneficial uh like tendencies, like the $15 an hour. In Florida, they asked and it was like over 60% said, yeah, I would love to make $15 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course they would. Yeah, it's a really Republican red state, but
Right.
come on, of course they would. Who wouldn't?
I think what some people have concerns about universal or federal $15 minimum wage is the fact that in certain states you won't need, like, certain states they feel like $15 minimum isn't needed based on how much it actually takes for how much a living wage is in that state. So like here in New York, it costs a lot of money to live here in the city, right?
Yeah.
Juxtapose that to like somewhere like Alabama.
Oh yeah.
I think that's where people have some concerns about $15 an hour for everyone.
I feel like it's the
What
talking
do you think
points
about
that
that?
are like the concerns because I don't think those are real people have those concerns. I think those are talking point concerns, especially if you're living in the state and you are very successful and you're fine paying people $6 an hour to do jobs where if they were in New York, they'll be paid $15 to do. So of course you wouldn't want to lower your profit margins and back to profit margins
That's
by
true.
paying other people. And that's kind of what brings the conversation is like you shouldn't be a business owner if you don't want to pay anybody.
But that's the capitalistic way. It's try and spend as least amount of money as possible to make more back.
But at the same time, it's still capitalism because you still have to pay laborers, right? People want that's why unions are so important to our capitalist system. So these the stakeholders will be treated equally. But if they don't want to treat us equally, then we no
Yeah,
longer
of
have to
course.
work for them. Of course, we will be out of work, but then they themselves wouldn't be able to produce the same amount. Then they'll be losing money. So
Mm.
what's better, to go bankrupt? Well, in Walmart's case, like
They're gonna get a kiosk and all that crap, and then you're really screwed.
some just like some not old school stuff like years ago. I remember I asked my pops like, how come there's no Walmarts in like New York City? And it kind of brought the thing like they will protest it.
Yeah. 100%.
And then
Except for Long Island, but that doesn't count.
that doesn't count. But in some Walmarts, if they're able to unionize, they will shut it down. It's like, yeah, okay, we'll just shut it down. They'll go to another Walmart 25 miles the other direction. We're fine.
Yeah. Target is more of our thing here in the city. We don't have Walmart.
Yeah, Target is just a bigger bodega. Most Targets. Some we have a lot of incomplete, and especially in uh. Okay, I won't call it bodega.
Yeah, don't call it a bodega. That was disrespectful to bodegas. You don't see any cats running around.
No, but like there's a lot of, I guess, what we call grocery stores, like fake grocery stores in Queens, especially,
or delis, or
grocery delis.
Yeah, or mini marts, as some people call them.
Mini marts. You have a better time going to Target.
Yeah, because mini mart they don't have the deli. They don't have the deli part. Mini marts just have aisles and hummus and crap.
Yeah, that's the downside of living in Queens. It's like you Google, like I just needed like oat milk, right? And I was like, all right, let me look for the nearest store. It's like these are all corner stores, man. They don't got oat milk here. They barely have good sandwiches.
That is true. One thing I don't like is when my family tells me to go to the store and ask for some bougie. Like, bro, we live in Brownsville still. Like, I know that Brooklyn may be gentrifying, but Brownsville is still Brownsville at the end of the day. So don't ask me to go to Family Dollar expecting Oatly. Like, it's not gonna happen. That's false. That's false equivalency right here. No way.
The funny thing is, I was able to find the oat milk in the small deli market.
Oh, same. There's the 24-hour little mini mart that does have, the mate. That's where I get it from, and they got the oat milk. But
on Atlantic, right?
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. It's on Atlantic. If you go to Brownsville,
that is true. Hell no, they ain't got none of that.
If this is what I've noticed, especially in like poorer neighborhoods, because I remember my girlfriend lives maybe like 15 minutes away from Brownsville, so it is a poor density area. And when we go shopping for like the supermarket, everything there is just more expensive compared to like Bedford, for example, right? Compared to like other places in like Dumbo, for example, right? You go grocery shopping there, it's way cheaper. I won't call it affordable, but I could tell you like peanut butter is just Skippy natural peanut butter don't cost like $4.50. Over there it costs like $2.99 or like $1.99 on sale.
And that's what I try to explain to people that are always like, you know what, the Black community, man, we got to eat healthier and this and this and that. And one, I totally agree with you, but if you come from a poor area, a poor and disenfranchised area, then you know that if you go into a lot of these shops and stuff, right, the more healthier options, they're the most expensive stuff.
Oh yeah.
You feel me? And the cheaper things are the GMO stuff. The cheaper things are the things that, can hold me over right now because I'm hungry.
And if you have to go and get the crown fry, you're just gonna order the crown fry again.
Exactly. And the crown fried is freaking delicious still. All right. And it's halal.
Is it delicious? It is halal.
It is halal.
It's like you need like the vinegar hot sauce packets that they give you.
Nah, I don't get those.
I always have to. I can't eat that.
I don't need them.
I can't eat that. Well, now I have Mike's Hot Honey at home, so just in case the food sucks, the food never sucks, but a
little bit of that hot honey.
Yeah, it goes great with the Popeye chicken sandwich. I couldn't even say that without raking.
Oh man, I mean, I get it,
but it's also the type of store, like Key Food, I could say has like slightly more affordable, like organic chicken, right? Compared to like an Ideal food, right? For some reason, Ideal is just like more expensive within the area. I'm just letting you know, I'm like Eastern Parkway.
Yeah, okay.
So that's kind of the area.
Okay, right. Where on the Parkway though? Are you're closer to Brownsville?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm literally like 5 minutes driving. I'm in Brownsville. If I go up.
So like Crown Heights-ish area.
More like Weeksville.
Okay.
Yeah, Weeksville. So
got it.
So yeah, they're like I when you told me Brownsville, from Brownsville, it's like, all right, this is where I'm at. I walk around one day, just go different stores, like wow, everything's really expensive. So as you said,
so now you understand.
Yeah, 100%. Like as you said, like you live in poverty, which most black people and brown people do within New York,
Hmm.
you're gonna live in areas where everything is just more expensive. So
Exactly. And the healthier options are just more. They're a lot more.
and the odds of you going to a more affordable, because everybody knows where the more affordable store is, of
Hmm.
you going there every week is not it's rarely, it's like kind of a rare event, unless you all take the family, you drive through traffic, so let's say 45 minutes, you shop everything, then come back. That's a
Right.
whole day for some people, right? That's like 3 or 4 hours compared if you just walk down the block, get what you need, come back, and that's it. It's a done deal.
Exactly.
So
It's just something that I want people to understand and take into account of, all right, I understand you want black betterness and all that stuff, but you also have to think about what's still in the community first and fix that instead of blaming the people, right? Because we're just in it, we're living in it, right? And there isn't much that we can do to appease that, because a lot of people aren't even concerned about that. They're just concerned about living until the next day.
yeah.
Feel me? It's all about survival in Brownsville.
Oh,
That's what I've learned.
there's something interesting about the bill that the stimulus
Oh
bill.
yeah, the bill, my bad.
I know.
I forgot, we went so off
No,
topic.
I think it's still within, because there's in the rescue plan for small businesses, there are key components in the packages that include minority-owned businesses, so they could
Yes.
rehire and retain workers while keeping them safe. And another part of it that was very interesting is the black farmers,
Yes, the black farmers. Yes.
which I think New York Times, was it the 18
1619.
1619, had
One
these
of the best episodes
the
ever
last
on
two
that.
episodes.
Yes, it was the last two. I believe there was only like
5.
5 episodes in total. So episode 4 and 5
Mhm.
were about the history of black farmers and how little black farmers there are now, and that's due to them not receiving the contracts necessary to keep on harvesting what it is that they need to harvest. So what we've learned, what I've learned in those two podcast episodes, is the fact that farmers don't make that much money, like, at all. Farming is a lost business. Like, you lose money every time you
No
farm.
profit margins.
There's no profit margin when it
Back
comes
again
to
with that
farming.
word.
So what they do is they sign contracts to different companies, to these bigger companies that supply them what they need in order to crop, basically. And they go to banks for loans and all that stuff too. And what they've been finding out is that it is a lot harder for black farmers to get any sort of loans, to get any sort of contracts for the money that they need in order to create the best crop, right? And that's been an issue. That's been a long issue that has been under the rug for a long time.
Yeah.
And so Joe Biden, with along with this $1 trillion bill, a lot of that money is going to be allocated towards black farmers, and I think that is incredible. It's amazing.
And one thing you were saying, what I learned a lot from that episode, and something that came up many times, is banks themselves are prejudiced, or I'll say
Oh,
racist, against people of color and the minorities that they say they're going to help. Because I remember my favorite Trevor Noah joke was, because he's half black, half white, and he moved to the United States. He said,
mm-hmm.
and they asked him, what you going to write on the banknote. He wrote white, and they were
Right.
shocked, because
You damn right.
he doesn't pass for white at all.
Of
But
course not.
then you said later on, they found out that most of these banks charged, with like predatory lending, higher interest rates to people of color. So
Of
he was
course.
right to put white on the sheet, in his joking way. I
I
doubt he
don't
did
blame
that,
him.
but at the same time, it kind of showed. It's like we're meant to lose. Yeah,
I
they
know this
designed the system to make people lose.
I know this has nothing to do with the farming, but sometimes when I apply to jobs, I put white just to see what happens. Because Giovanni Anglin, it's Irish, it's an Italian first name and it's an Irish last name, and I just want to see what happens. And sometimes I get callbacks. I do get the callbacks. Not gonna lie.
you know, it's funny when they ask you those questions on like race and background, because I've been applying for a couple jobs lately, so I've been looking, and most of these use the same frame of website. So of course they ask you if you're Latino. Then,
Yeah, like greenhouse and all that jazz,
then after,
glass house.
yeah, then after that, oh yeah, like greenhouse, yeah, glass house, and all those stuff. LinkedIn,
Yeah.
they ask
Hmm.
you, are you Latino? Then after that, they ask you, are you black? And your race. And after that, they ask you if you're
Exactly.
abled. If you have any disabilities. And then after that, they ask you, you're a veteran. But every time they go to the question asking you race, like they say they won't do this to defer, but at the
Right.
same time, are
They
you willing to
are.
defer?
But see, here's the thing though, because I was having a conversation with web developers and people in tech, and there's this thing that's been happening where the AI is learning racism. Like that's a thing that it's learning racism and it's learning key things that are in applications or that are in certain things where they will know whether a user is black or not, and they will just get rid of it. Like that's a thing that's been happening.
So most deny buttons at the end of the day happen to be people of color. Hence, the AI thinks uh, the ones that were denied were not good. But at the end of the day, when they look at the percentage, it was like a lot of people of color, because maybe they wrote. I think I know what you're talking about too.
Hmm.
Um, because some people write certain sentences certain ways that they will depict it as like not intelligent, or not as they call like the basics of what they're looking for. I forgot there's the HBO documentary about those I'm losing track of where I'm going. But I understand what you mean, because when they kind of test you, they have like this basis of the ultimate worker that they're looking for, which is also at the same time all these studies start with like 50 white people, and that's kind of what they're basing it off of. So
Exactly.
if you have a harder accent, if you have different morals and point of views, they're gonna take all that into consideration, then throw your application out.
Hmm.
So
Sometimes when I do apply to those stuff, it does get frustrating, especially when it comes to podcasting producer and all that stuff, is because I'm already doing it. Like I've been actively doing it. So this should be an easy look right here. This should be easy. But I think sometimes it has to do with the resume or how my resume is created or how it's looked at as, that I may not be getting any sort of hitbacks.
yeah, because at the end of the day, all these type of jobs are it'd be easier to get it if you just either nepotism, like someone in the family, or you just
You
know
just know
someone,
someone.
and
Yeah,
that's it at the end of the day. So it's like
it
this,
really does.
you got to stretch that circle if you're. And that's the problem for a lot of people, because some people, it's like they can't make friends, or they can't hold relations, or not, they don't have that type of skill.
Hmm.
So it's like, hey, we're telling you, if you don't have this skill, you cannot evolve with human society. No matter how good your freelance skills are, they just don't want to hire you because you don't have this particular skill. And that's what makes the workplace a problem, because you have all of these people that are exactly the same, and then they're not gonna learn from each other. They're not gonna grow. Then that's
And
kind of what
then
keeps the work culture like terrible.
and then what's going to happen is you're going to have expose articles like what they did with Gimlet, talking about how there's no or little to diverse representation at the workplace, and that leads to this toxic culture in X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. So it's a lose situation.
It is. But then see what happens is a lot of the people of color that don't get these jobs, they go on and create other stuff. Then they
Oh,
create. Yeah,
so I was
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say, it was HBO Max originals, Persona: The Dark Truth Behind the Personality Test, and
Ooh,
that was
okay.
discussing like the tests and how they were designed, and how it was who they were based on, and that's why other races can't pass the test compared to the white race, because that's like who they were testing out in the first
It's
place.
for white people.
Yeah, because if it was, as they said, like if you're doing research, you're supposed to do a broad, like medicine, right?
Hmm.
If you have to test it on everybody, that's what makes Johnson a little bit different from the other ones, is because they went all over. They went to Brazil, they went to Africa to test it. because they test it on every type of race group and every type of social economic class, because you have to really understand like how it works. And they were able to get completely different marks compared to everybody else because they were sampling a bigger pool of people. Hence, it's
Yeah.
going to look a little bit different. It might look a lot more realistic than when you're really like have a close participating rate of people within your own neighborhood. Because you can put that, like, most of these tests are designed on ads that you put in the newspaper and within your own community. So they're just going to locally pick up who's around. And that's how these persona tests are made, which is the same thing about the AI. It's all like connected. That's why I had to bring up the documentary. It's a really good one. Check it out. It's on HBO Max. Persona: The Dark Truth Behind Personality Test.
Shout out to HBO Max, man. It's hell of expensive, but you guys get some great content, and you don't have to pay $30 just to see a movie that's gonna be in the movie theaters now, since the movie theaters are open, that you can just watch for $5.
Hey, we're about to get there later.
We're gonna get there later, but oh man, dang, we got to shift the conversation over to something just horrible that's going on, man. Because we were having such a great conversation, but again, one of the states that Joe Biden is going to is Georgia, and during his Georgia trip, he's actually going to go to the sites where where the massacre of last week has been happening, thanks to 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long, who is quote unquote not he's not racist or xenophobic against Asian Americans. He quote unquote had a bad day. He had a bad day. Took a one down, sung a sad song, and turned it around. That's what happened. And for those of you who do not know,
we should know,
or
or just
you
in case you
should
already
know.
forgot, because the Colorado incident happened
Word.
right
There's just so
like a
many
day
mass
ago.
shootings that's been happening, and the crazy thing is, Dave Chappelle had a joke on Saturday Night Live the night when Joe Biden became president officially. He said that if there's one good thing that COVID has done, it has prevented mass shootings. So it's great for these white mass shooters to say their asses home, because before COVID, there was mass shootings every week, and it just seems to be like the prime weapon to be used is these AR-15s, right? And it seems like since things are starting to get back to where they used to be, starting to have this semi normalism, it just feels like everything is just starting to pick up where it was left off. You feel me?
hmm So yeah, and one of the things that brought up, as you said, because they said it wasn't a racist attack, is because the people he killed were Asian, and that's something that's been building for the past year about the increase of Asian attacks within many Asian communities, such as San Francisco, which is
Yeah,
I remember a bunch of articles came out within the same amount of time because all these attacks happened like one day after the next.
right. San Francisco, here in New York City, of course, in Queens, all over. There's just been this unadulterated quote unquote war against Asian Americans, and I feel like once COVID became political, right, and once it became finger pointing from the former president, that's when things started to shift a lot, because to me, 45 used Asians as the scapegoat, saying, hey, they are the problem. They are the enemy because of this disease that is now here, that's affecting us, that caused us to shut down, that caused you to not have any money, that caused you to lose your job. You feel me? That caused you to wear this mask that I know that you don't want to wear. It's their fault. You feel me? It's the same thing that happened in 9/11, right? Where we all know what happened in 9/11, but um it felt like an us against uh Middle Easterns. It's the same thing, and I don't think it's right at all. And for this kid to come around and just shoot up massage parlors, and then for him to say that this isn't racially motivated, this is just him having a bad day because he's a sex addict, and he just wanted to cleanse his demons, and I just find it completely asinine.
Yeah, it's it it's because of the police, right? That they arrest him, started investigation, and they immediately said that. That's what kind of started that
Captain Jay
conversation.
Baker.
Yeah,
That's what Captain Jay Baker said, that this 21-year-old kid just had a bad day and he decided to just take it out on people. And he targeted um these massage parlors because he's a sex addict. And this is the beauty of white privilege, Bastion, because even in him admitting to doing this crime, right? He was still being called a suspect. He was being called a kid, and I don't know if they believed him in what he's saying, or his reasoning as to why he's doing these things, but they're putting it out there for the public. They're putting his explanation and his reasoning out there for the people. And that is the beauty of white privilege right there. The beauty of white privilege, and what white privilege is, Bash, is getting the benefit of the doubt all the time. That's what it is. You can pull up with an AR-15 and just unload, and officers will just come and arrest you, and you get to walk out. Nothing's going wrong. Meanwhile, there of course, there are unarmed black people that have been sleeping that get killed, that just walk around in a hoodie with some Skittles and some Arizonas and get shot. I don't know, bro. I just find it all disgusting.
then it kind of leads into the conversation with gun control. And of course, they're going to use many things saying they're going to remove your guns, and that's one thing about.
It's happening already.
Yeah, they started the conversation.
Punk ass Ted Cruz is at it
They
again.
started the conversation, and it happens over and over again. And you know what's funny? Every time that conversation comes up about gun control,
yeah, because guns aren't the
price,
not,
gun sales go up tremendously.
Oh, 100%. And the reason why gun sales go up is because people want to protect themselves.
And they think that they're going to take away their guns. So, cop a gun before it's the limited time only. It happens every time.
All the time.
And we're not going to, United States could barely get things through on a federal level. There's no way they're going to ban guns. Come on. They won't even give you health care. If they if they ban guns for health care, this would be a different dimension. But right, it's they care more about their guns than the system to save you if you get shot.
Well, I mean, Bastion, the Second Amendment is your right to bear arms. That's the second thing. You get your freedom of speech.
Those muskets took 2 minutes and 30 seconds to load. Of course, you have time to bring yours. Who's the fastest gunslinger in 1776?
Where the people in the 1770s can't freaking fathom the power of an AR-15.
No way, poor people had guns back then like that. That was strictly built for the army in 1776.
I wouldn't know about that.
Poor people couldn't even vote like that. Remember, they started adding more ways for people to vote.
Aristocrats and all that.
Exactly. You had to be rich. You had to own property to vote. You don't have property, you're worthless.
Good point. Good point.
You know what I mean? It's very.
So I just want to say that
the patches has been boring.
You're right, bro. But I just want to say that as someone who comes from a history of being targeted, being treated unfairly, I just want to say, and I think Bastion shares the same sentiment, that I'm with you. I'm with you, definitely. We stand for and with you all, Asian Americans, basically have nots, man, people of color. We understand what it's like to be profiled, to be misrepresented, to be mistreated, all of that stuff, bro. So It would be nice if we all come together for a change. You dig? That's just me.
We know who to fight.
We all know who the common enemy is, but also see, here's the dopest thing about white supremacy is that there's like this racial pyramid, or this racial status where everyone is ranked, and sometimes there's infighting between other races of color due to perception
The
and
my was it the minority?
yeah.
The I forgot the terminology already.
What, model minority?
Model minority, yeah.
Yeah.
And that whole terminology is just like brings everybody down. It's like, oh, Asian people they got it good. It's like no, they're just like people of color. There is of course, there's always a high upper middle class population, and there is a way bigger, not in the news ever, lower population, and they need help too. It all kind of depends on their place of origin, and just
Hmm.
like there's a lot of people in other countries that left because of war at home. The same thing for in the Asian population. So
Right.
it's all a
But
win-win
that's true. But we also
scenario.
can't ignore that, there's also always been tensions between Asians and black people.
Due to how white supremacy and ideologies swing within each neighborhood. So,
That is true.
because black people's hate on, well, certain, I would say, or
Certain.
certain, or the ideologies in mind they have on Asian comes from the white supremacy. Same as vice versa on Asian to black. It's white supremacy. So we're being tricked to play each other,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
Same way with poor white serfs and slaves back in the day. So that's just the way it is. You got to tell one lie to the other. They not trust each other, can't work together.
Yeah,
It's all in the book. It's the
it
same
is.
thing.
You're so right. You're absolutely right. And this affects me in a different way because I have two Asian nieces. I have Asian sister-in-law. I have Asian family. So, seeing this, I do think about them a lot, and I do worry about them a lot. And I do think about, because they do live around Chinatown, and Chinatown has had their different altercations over there. And I do think like, it can be a possibility. You feel me? I
Hmm.
do think about that. And I do think about, what if this happens? Like, how am I going to react? How am I going to feel? Am I going to do something I'm going to regret later on? Cuz it's a real thing. It is definitely a real thing that I think about in the back of my head a lot of the time. And that's why I pay attention to what's going on currently.
So yeah, crazy times we're living in.
Hard times
It's
that we
all
live.
politics at the end of the day. It's like really
Right.
all this was crumbled down the minute he said what like kung flu, and then the
Yeah.
whole thing just
That's what I said, bro, in the beginning of this. As soon as the coronavirus pandemic became political, as soon as he went down that route, everything changed.
yeah.
Because in the first 2 months, March, the end of March, like around this time, April, May, everyone was in unison. Everyone had there was some unity going on. Everyone
A little
understood
bit, a little
a
bit
little bit. We
because
people understood that this thing is bigger than ourselves.
yeah,
Okay.
because there were some violence against Asian people earlier within March and April. But I could tell you like it if it happened during like the summer, fall, and spring throughout the past year, they definitely didn't put it in the media. It was like a big event, like the shooting that happened down in
Yeah.
Georgia. It's like to bring it up again. It's like no, it's been happening for a very long time. It all depends on your news source, right?
Happening a lot this
It's,
month, last month,
yeah,
January.
there's like 3 incidents that happened in San Francisco, let alone,
Yeah.
right? And it's like you can't hide this. It's been happening for a very long time. So
Mhm.
it's difficult. And the same way the black boxes didn't help, the yellow boxes won't help either. It's bigger than like a social media movement.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
like
That's one thing that I was like, ugh. And I did see a lot of Asian Americans go on and call out certain platforms like 88 Rising, which I don't I think
it's
I think they music, right? They do music
do all media of sorts.
media.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, they were calling out, those certain platforms that were pushing the yellow box thing to show solidarity between Asian Americans on social media, which received a lot of backlash. And I don't think I've seen a lot of those since.
Yeah, it was up and out real quick because they deleted it. It's not even there anymore.
And then you had freaking NBC of all people try and do the Burger King UK thing of clickbaiting an article, which was a huge backfire. You remember that?
Nah, I don't remember. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't
Actually,
see it,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
saw the jokes on it. I,
right.
I saw the fake joke, then I saw the real one afterwards.
Which was the clickbait was how blacks can show solidarity with Asian Americans or something like that, right?
Oh, it's just talking about the Asian panel that was on TV.
Oh, what
That
talk
was
about
the
the Asian panel that was on TV. I
never
didn't know
mind.
this.
That was this whole separate thing. That was really bad.
Oh, can you do
Not
you want
the
to talk about it or
no, absolutely not. It was
okay.
it was bad. It's an understanding that a lot of industries don't have the right representation in them. Hence, they do nonsensical things like
Hmm.
create things without any representation. So it's like
Oh, okay.
you show your hand if you show say if you're like Black Lives Matter and you say and you do like an article, a nonsensical article right after says yeah you don't even have any black people in your staff or in your editing staff because they would not let that swing. They'll look at it and say hey stop right there. This is not gonna swing.
Yeah, but yeah, there's no buts. I agree with you 100%. 100%. So I guess we could get into the song of the week, man. We've been going for an hour straight.
Yes sir.
I need a water break real quick. So first song of the week appropriately is called Hard Times, comes from Paramore from the 2017 album After Laughter. We'll be right back. Once again, you're tuned to 99.5 FM, WBAI, New York. This is Black Seinfeld, the show about nothing. Here's Paramore. That was Paramore with Hard Times from their 2017 release, After Laughter, right? Yeah, After Laughter. Welcome back to Black Seinfeld, the show about nothing. If you would like to message us at all, please hit us up at blackseinfeldny@gmail.com for any sort of messages, feedback. We appreciate all of that. And don't forget to follow us, like us on all of our social medias, Black Seinfeld NY on Instagram and Twitter. Please follow us on all of the podcasting platforms, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Apple. It helps us, it helps the algorithm. We don't have money for payola yet, so the best way to get noticed is through the numbers. So please leave a comment, drop a 5 stars, talk about how much you enjoy the show, talk about how much you love the show, and hell, man, shoot, hit us up at freaking board ops at wbai.org just to let the people know, let the people in charge know that, hey, we like Black Seinfeld. We rock with Black Seinfeld. This is a great show. And tell your friends about it. Stop being lazy and stop being selfish. Okay. That's rude.
Let the
You're
people
trying to
know.
get paid. We're trying to sell out here. All right. I'm trying to get Doc Martin sponsorships.
All right, let's oh before we get into music, since you have one more shot for your COVID.
One more shot for the COVID, man. And here's a smart thing that companies are now doing to, I guess, encourage people to get
Since you're gonna
vaccinated.
laminate, since you said you're gonna laminate your card, this
I'm
would be
definitely gonna
perfect.
laminate my. I'm gonna laminate my card. I'm gonna put it in my wallet so that way, I get to travel places. I get to go back to the gym. I get to go back to the movies. I get to do the things that I love to do. But also, it seems like I can get a free Krispy Kreme glazed donut. That's right, people. If you are vaccinated, you just need to show off the card that you get that shows your dosage, what doses did you get, if you're fully vaccinated, if you're half vaccinated, cool. Take your ass over to Krispy Kreme to get a free glazed donut. That's what Krispy Kreme is doing. So guess what? It's gonna be a beautiful day today. It's gonna be like what in the the low to mid 60s, taking my ass over to that Krispy Kreme.
Where's the Krispy Kremes at?
There's a Krispy Kreme over in Manhattan. It's around 37th Street, I want to say. So there's one Krispy Kreme that I know of, and it's around 37th Street.
Never had it.
I've had it, man. And Krispy Kreme glazed donuts, they're legit, man.
Because
they're pretty good.
Well, I do understand this entire time. This is, I think I probably spent like maybe 18, maybe 23 years thinking that Dunkin' Donuts is like pretty much the best you ever get in donuts. And that's not true.
Not at all.
It's just, when I'm from Queens, there's a Dunkin' Donuts every 3 blocks.
That is true.
So there's no room for donut shops.
Well, you know what?
There's room for bagel shops, but not for donuts.
Yeah, I was just about to say that here in New York, man, we have a bigger bagel culture than we do donut culture. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more about the bagels here. We have a lot of bread stuff here in New York that has a huge culture and huge following, like pizza, bagels, pastrami sandwiches, that sort of stuff. Not so much donuts. We don't have a huge donut culture here.
Yeah, it's the thing about bagels that's like been very disrespectful, because some bagel shops, if they don't proof it right, they could like mess up the whole batch. Because my mom's went to get bagels the other day, and all the raisin bagels came like flat and crushed, looking like a raisin within itself. It's like, yo, they really just gave you the flat like bagels. This is bad. I would have just looked at that bag and was like, nah, I'm not getting any of these. Round only. None of these bagels have a circumference. I'm out of here.
They don't have the button?
No. It looks bad. It looked like a jelly bean. That's how bad the bagel looked. It looked like a jelly bean.
Did it look like those what's that brand of bagels that's the same brand for like Dave's English Muffin? Is it called Dave's? I don't think it's called Dave's.
I hate store bought bagels.
Yeah, it's those store-bought bagels. It's just like round, it has the nice hole in the middle.
Plastic.
I don't like those bagels.
They're equivalent to bagels, people that buy bagels from Starbucks.
Who buys bagels from Starbucks?
A lot of people.
First off, I didn't even know Starbucks do bagels, but it makes sense. Breakfast, right?
It's sad. It's a sad truth. New Yorkers got to treat themselves better.
They do.
Espresso choices and your bagel choices.
Yeah, man. I judge my father heavily because he goes and gets the red eye from Starbucks.
Really?
And
what's it, like a shot and coffee?
Yeah, so a red eye, for those of you who don't know, is a shot of espresso and drip coffee, and he drinks it black, so no milk or anything. And I try and tell him, like, yo, to be real with you, like, Starbucks coffee sucks, especially like their espresso, because they don't even press it themselves. It's all animated. It's all automated. It's just a button you press and that's it. Like, there's no finesse into it. They don't do anything, bro. Like it's not that good. It's not layered. There's no layers to the espresso. There's none of that. There's no crema. There's none of that, B.
Dude, no, there's still crema in it. But consistency is key. If I go to one uptown, if I go to one in Queens, if I go to one in Seattle, I think Seattle, I heard it was a little bit better. But if I go anywhere for Starbucks, it'll taste exactly the same.
And yeah, of course.
And that's what they want to do. But let's get straight into music. Enough of this coffee talk.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go into some music, man, because we got some new music. One of my favorites, The Butcher's coming. Griselda back with another one. Benny the Butcher with the plugs I met too, with instrumentals from La Música de Harry Fraud, baby. One of my favorite producers, but he's also very stingy because Harry Fraud, he doesn't release his instrumentals like that, like at all. And I don't like that, okay? There's certain songs that I love from Harry Fraud that will never, ever, you'll never get an instrumental from it. You won't get a clean version from it. You won't get any of that stuff from Harry Fraud. Like one of my favorite tracks that Harry Fraud ever did was the Riff Raff track with Childish Gambino.
Dude, I was thinking that same exact thing. That beat was bonkers.
That beat went hard, bro. My mind goes round like a roundabout.
That was from the Neon Icon album.
Yeah,
Lava
man.
Glaciers.
Shout out to
Oof,
Riff Raff wherever he is in life.
that beat was too much. 2014 was different. Yeah.
It was a different time, bruh, where the creators was just creating. But once again, like I said before, the Butcher's coming. The Plug I Met 2, Harry Fraud, Benny the Butcher. Now, we've already said this before, but if you don't know, Conway the Machine is my favorite Griselda member, while Bastion's favorite is West Side Gun, correct?
Yes, sir.
Benny the Butcher, he's a great artist, and he did a great job with this 9-track album of just, straight up coke bars, that drug rap, something that you just expect from Griselda, what you expect from Benny the Butcher. But Harry Fraud, one of the greatest, one of the best producers of all time. And he and Benny just work well together. His beats just go so well with Benny's drug bars. And one of my favorite tracks is Plug Talk featuring 2 Chains. And the reason why it's because um that beat had more of a 2 Chainz trap sound. And I appreciate Benny, going outside of the box. You know, I understand that Griselda, the reason why a lot of them are popular is due to the fact that, they have that old school New York 90s boom bap gangster drug bar sound, right? But I like it when they can switch up beats and be versatile on certain beats and still deliver what they're good at. There's also really good features on Plugs I Met too. Like I said before, you had 2 Chains. I believe there's Fat Joe. There's a verse led by the late great Chinks Drugs. Shout out to Chinks. French Montana, Jim Jones, Rick Hyde. It's a solid project, man. Only 28 minutes, 9 tracks. You can't go wrong
Yeah.
at all.
I only heard the project once. But I thought it was thorough. Plug Talk with 2 Chainz, definitely one of my favorite tracks.
See?
Yeah.
See? 2 Chains just killed that.
But definitely the first track brought it in. It's like, oh, okay, this is a project, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
When Tony met Sosa.
Do you recommend people to listen to it?
I recommend people that are, if you're already a fan of Griselda, chances are you probably listen to it. If you're a fan of that old school sound of hip hop, if you like that lyrical miracle spiritual, this is for you. If you're a fan of drug rap, this is for you. If you want something to ride out to with this nice warm weather that we're getting, this is the album for you. And if you don't like any of that sort of stuff, then I would say avoid it. But definitely check out the new Benny the Butcher Harry Fraud track, man. I mean album. Sorry, album.
Gotcha.
The Plugs I Met 2.
And the album I'm going to discuss today is Lana Del Rey's 7th album, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, a 45-minute, 11-track album that released last week. And of course, I'm not going to ignore her controversial statements, quote unquote question for the culture, where she threw many women of color artists' names under the bus while trying to present her point of critics critiquing her subject matter in her own music.
Like Mabu Kaylani.
Yeah. Then saying many other statements following after, which I'm pretty sure if you don't know the story by now, any publication would explain it to you within like the first paragraph of their Chemtrails Over the Country Club review. That being said, this is a really good album. This is a really good album. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been listening to it like every day. And the album starts with the song White Dress, which I thought, just looking at the title, would be a song about like a wedding song. But it's actually the uniform she wore as a waitress. And I think this song, I'm going to slightly break down this song because this song pretty much encapsulates what the whole album is about. Because the song is about a simpler time, before the fame, young and getting into the music industry. Because the first verse, like the first lines of the album is sun stare, don't care with my head in my hands, thinking of simpler times, like Sun Ra, feel small, but I had it under control every time. So those 4 lines pretty much talks about like it starts with the present tense, then it's like traveling back in time when she was like 19 and younger. felt like Sun Ra in terms of confidence, but was very small at the time, but had everything under control. So she didn't know where she was going for the future, but she felt like she was in her safe ground at the same time. So it will kind of keep going forward. And the Sun Ra line was pretty interesting because later in the song, she said, "But I would still go back if I could do it all again." I thought because it made me feel like a god. So could also be that whole young youth thing where you kind of have like delusions of grandeur because you think you're immortal or the infinite, but you're also the most confident at your time because you're young and you haven't had the experiences of pain and loss. Because she did start as Lizzie Grant in her first album, that didn't go well, and then she kind of had to reinvent herself as Lana Del Rey. So
Summertime Sadness and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of, I'm just really just breaking down the first song, and I want people to kind of listen to the rest of the album because it's just like this beautiful piano chord that just goes in the back, and she's just like, it's emotional singing. So one of my good friends, Kyle, shout out to you. I I pretty much sent him the pictures, like, because he's a huge fan of Lana Del Rey. It's like, wow, like this is the first song, like to go this hard in the first song. This is like a really emotional song. So yeah, it's a great album. I do recommend the listeners to go check it out. Put on your headphones, put on the speaker, and just relax with the music. It's nice piano music, and her singing is very beautiful. So the whole album is pretty much her childhood, relationships, great songs like her single "Let Me Love You Like a Woman." Then "Wild Heart" it's another one of my favorite songs because it has my favorite lines in it. "I love you lots like polka dots. You're killing me more than coffee pots and Insta thoughts." You feel that? You feel that? So yeah, check out the.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so yeah, check out the album. I'm a big fan of the album. I know she said a lot of crazy, problematic things this past
A
year.
lot, jeez, bro.
A lot, but
then she wore the mesh, the freaking mesh mask,
the mesh
and a little
mask.
Barnes and Noble
Can't forget
meet and greet and all that. Remember that?
Yeah, I can't forget. But other than that, it's a very beautiful, very emotional album about her past. She's much older now, and she just wanted to make an album just what her childhood was like.
It's crazy that Lana Del Rey now is like, what, 35, 36 now?
Yeah.
Dude, there's been so many album anniversaries that's been coming out, and I've just been like, yo, this sucks because I remember like where I was back then when this album came out. Like I remember February just passed and they talked about the life of Pablo's like 5th anniversary. And I remember like this thing was supposed to come out on Valentine's Day, but it freaking didn't. And then that was only the first cut of the album. And I think, did you see the concert in the movie theater?
Yes, I did. In Madison Square Garden.
Oh man, and now look at Kanye now. Is he really the richest black man in America, or is that just a rumor?
It's a hip hop.
Everyone posted that.
No, because it's a hip hop blog site, and it's like, why would they lie about this right now?
Okay.
And it's funny because like I remember Lana Del Rey's like the first album, Born to Die. I remember when it came out, and I was
2012,
and I was listening to it with my friends. It's like, yo, because the reviews and the critics were like, oh, this is garbage, and it's like, everybody was giving it 5 out of 10, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna quit music. I was like, yo, this album is really good.
I remember hearing "Summertime Sadness" a lot that year too.
Born to Die, Dark Paradise. Yo, I was a huge fan of this album when it came out. So I was like, nah, she can't quit music. She just started. So yeah, she has a lot of great projects, but I think this one is a timepiece. So how the artist could drop like that small classic and not be referred to as like the first or second album. I think this is it for her.
Is it better than Norman Rockwell?
I never gave Norman Rockwell like the chance needed because maybe the period of time when it came out, I just wasn't vibing listening to music or listening to her particularly.
Didn't she? You didn't.
It was like last year
in 2019.
Nah.
That came out in 2019.
Norman Rockwell. I'm pretty sure that came out last year.
No, it came out 2019, bro.
Okay, but yeah, no, I didn't give it time, or I was probably too busy.
Fair, yeah, you were.
So
you were still working.
So yeah, that was kind of my quick review on the album. I do recommend people to check it out. It's a very,
Facts.
very fun, beautiful lyrics.
So what should we do? Should we get into the next song, or do you just want to go straight into the versus battle?
Yeah, let's go into verses because we still have
Let's
to
get
discuss
into it.
Snyder stuff.
Word. All right, man. The versus battle that had a horrible promotion, horrible marketing, Ghostface Killer, Raekwon the Chef, Wu-Tang Clan. Honestly, Bastion, I will say this. So this occurred last Saturday the 20th, right? And I was outside because once again, first day of spring, great weather. And once I came home, I was chilling and you hit me up and you were like, "Yo, there's a versus battle tonight, and it's Ghostface and Raekwon." And I was shocked because literally no one on my personal Twitter timeline was talking about it, like at all. No one was talking about it, and I found that completely weird. So once I saw, I logged in on the versus IG, and it's been gone. It's been going for like an hour, so I just decided to cut it and just wait till it's over with, so I can just watch it from start to finish. And a lot of people on on my timeline started going, "Yo, like there's a freaking verses going on, and we didn't know about it." And so in looking at the number of people that were in, it was only like
100. When I
no,
hit you up about it, it was like 100,000
like
that
a
was
hundred
watching.
thousand. It was on that 100K to like high 90K.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, what the hell is going on right now? Because these two are legends. Wu-Tang Clan is one of the most dominant rap groups, if not the most dominant rap groups in hip hop history, period, bar none. Um, I don't know. Maybe this was something for like the old lyrical miracle heads. Maybe that's why people weren't listening to it, or maybe it's because now that things are semi open again, people are just outside more, especially on a Saturday, and especially with the weather getting warmer. Hey, maybe people are just outside more, or maybe Triller, which is the new partner for Versus, who now there's it's no longer on Apple or anything, so you have to get the Triller app. They just did a poor job of advertising this battle, because Triller also helped advertise the freaking Mike Tyson fight with Roy Jones, and that did numbers. But when it came to this, I don't know. Maybe Triller has to market themselves better. But the battle itself, freaking awesome. Not gonna lie, it's one of the best verses I've seen in a while, to be honest. Because the last couple verses have been pretty lackluster, but this one right here, maybe I'm biased because I like Wu Tang, but bruh, one of the best. Bastion, what do you think?
I agree. I think this is one of the more interesting bar for bar
Mm-hmm.
because Wu Tang, they're all bars. It's like the breath control is very important for these guys, and they're much older. And I think they joked about it sometimes when they sat down. It's like, "Yo, we want to do this verse." Like, nah. And I just love the camaraderie because, like I said, Raekwon and Ghostface, they're like
They're a duo.
they're this like the super special duo within hip hop,
Yes.
And once you know their history and how they came up, and to see that they're like such good friends and they respect each other in the highest level, especially in the hip hop game, you look at their history, you look at their relationship much differently. That's why I always recommend if you have free time to watch the Wu Tang TV show on Hulu because it kind of shows them growing up and they're from two different project buildings and they were literally trying to kill each other. From
Mm-hmm.
so it's on. Well, of course, the Abbott was there, RZA, and he was saying like he poured the whole drink thing. I think I was messaging you like, "Yo, RZA's drinking, pouring
Yeah,
drinks
RZA was there,
with the bottle
Capadonna was
girl."
there, Inspector Deck was there, uh, Young Dirty Bastard was
I think
there,
Killer Priest was there.
Yeah, Killer Priest was there,
Yeah.
Master Killer was there. It was like a whole Wu affair.
No,
So
it was Master Killer. I don't think it was Killer Priest.
Master Killer,
Master
it
Killer.
was Master Killer. So with that happening, I just thought that my initial idea would have been great because this was a whole Wu affair, right? So I know like Versus likes doing like these first time ever things or like first time ever, whatever, whatever. So I pitched the idea of having the first ever Wu Tang, or not even Wu Tang, of just the first ever tag team battle, if you will, right? Have RZA and Raekwon, because in the battle within itself, you know, they were trading bar for bar on the songs that they were on already. So the whole judging thing was off for me, at least. I stopped counting because you know what, whatever. This is for the culture. This is for Wu Tang Clan, and Wu Tang Clan is for the children. So my whole thing was, all right, you know what? You could have done Raekwon and Ghost versus Redman and Method Man, make it a whole Wu affair. And hell, Redman is already like an honorary Wu Tang member because there's so many honorary Wu Tang members. And you know, have Capadonna come in, have RZA, have all that stuff. It could have been a whole Wu affair. I would have enjoyed that. I think that would have been awesome to see.
That would have been interesting. It would have been complicated, but
It would have been complicated, but the fact that there were so many drop-ins from so many different Wu members, it could have been done.
no,
Easy.
no. I think it would have been easier just to do like the Raekwon versus Ghostface. In my opinion, I thought the song choices weren't that great. I don't
Well,
think
well, what
in
were you gonna do, man, when they have a lot of songs
no,
together?
no, like the order was a little bit, all over the place. As someone that's listened to a lot of Ghostface, a lot of Raekwon, it's like, yo, I can make it like a better start from easy and end at like his hardest stuff of all time.
Mhm.
Because the DJs felt like they were just playing random songs. I think that's what they wanted to
Yeah,
do. I
that's
think,
what happened.
but
Ghost was like, "Yo, just play whatever, man, and I'm with it. Let's do it."
no, you're supposed to play like the slow stuff, then get to the hardest, and that's how you end it. You know.
Mm.
But altogether, this was like it's like the fans win type thing. Because
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
of
tell you
course,
who won. Like I think Ghostface has a lot more albums than Raekwon, of
definitely,
course.
definitely.
So you got to talk about his classics. But at the same time, they did clientele together. Not clientele. They did Cuban Links
Cuban
together,
Links
and they said that it's gonna be a Cuban Links Part
3.
3.
It's gonna be the ending of the trilogy, so I'm excited to see that. But also, man,
I
it
hope
it
it's a
takes
different color because that one was red tape, it's purple tape. I'm hoping like a green tape or something. That'd be fire.
maybe, maybe. But what I thought was interesting about the battle was it put into perspective how much of a figure Wu Tang and how much of a staple they are within the culture, right? And I don't know about you, Bastion, but do you think the Wu Tang symbol, the W itself, is bigger than the actual Wu Tang Clan? And the reason why I bring this up is because you could go to any sort of shop, any sort of places where they sell graphic tees, whether it been Hot Topic or FYE or Spencer's Gifts or freaking Target, Old Navy, and you go to that little $5 graphic tee section, you're gonna see a Wu Tang shirt, right? And there are people out there that just get the Wu Tang shirt, that don't know a lick of Wu Tang songs. They don't know the members. They know nothing. I remember working at Five Guys as a cashier, right? Some girl came up with the Wu Tang shirt, and I'm like, yo, dope shirt. Like, yo, who's your favorite member? Blah blah blah. She had no idea what the hell I was talking about.
It's a cool logo, and yes,
It's
I do agree. And this is kind of the whole idea with the Wu Tang logo, and that's why the RZA and the RZA's brother understood the importance of having a good sign to represent the group, because they know the sign within itself could go much further away than the sound. It's because it's
Mhm.
the image. And that's why logos are very important to companies. So
And
yeah,
to black
I
show.
do agree. The logo is much bigger than the group, but the group is what brought the logo.
Oh, 100%.
But then after that, it just becomes part of the culture.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
Wu Tang right now, it's just submerged within the culture.
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
never
It's
forgive Hot 97 for ruining Wu Tang, though. I saw that documentary. All right, it was Hot 97's fault. We all know. We all know. E,
oh man.
bro.
Shout out to the Wu Tang Clan, bro. Wu Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with. Protect your neck.
But yeah,
And see, this is what I enjoy about What I enjoyed about Triller. They decided to give us a list well, of two battles that's going to be happening soon. One on Easter, which has been getting a lot of traction since they announced it, and that was the Isley Brothers versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. This is prime cleaning day too, and it's on Easter Sunday. This is prime cleaning day, Bastion. I'm excited for this one. That's right, old folks that tune into Black Seinfeld. Earth, Wind, and Fire versus the Isley Brothers versus Battle. That means 20 tracks apiece, back and forth.
How are they gonna do that? You gonna play
I
music right next to each other?
So many members, bro. I don't know how many. I don't know.
No way
I
they
don't.
gonna have a DJ play live music.
No, they didn't have. Did they have a DJ for Gladys Knight and Patti
Yeah,
LaBelle? They
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Oof, oof. I don't know. I want a band.
I want a band too. Those are band music. Come on.
Absolutely. Who do you think is going to win that one?
The fans.
I see Earth, Wind, and True.
But I
I
think
say
Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think Earth, Wind, and Fire too.
I say Earth, Wind, and Fire too.
Because I know more of their hits compared to the Isley Brothers. Even though I'm aware of their hits too, but I think I know a lot more Earth, Wind, and Fire without listening to their projects.
Even with the Isley brother, does Mr. Biggs get to like go off and play some of his solo stuff?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a
Does that count?
group stuff.
Okay, because if he plays that track with "He Who Must Not Be Named," you know, I'm
Usher?
just saying different. No, R. Kelly, dude. R. Kelly.
I know.
Oh man, and then there's another versus battle that's going to be happening 420 Red Man versus Method Man, which again I said before it should have been a tag team, Red and Meth versus Raekwon and Ghostface, which I don't want that, to be honest, on 420. I get it, they did How High and all that stuff, but for me at least, I think I'm the only one that wants to see it. I want to see Wiz Khalifa versus Currency. They're the two potheads, and Wiz Khalifa being the king of the potheads. I think just taking it back
the
to
current generation.
yeah, just taking it back to Cushion OJ and all that stuff, man. Like, bruh, I think Wiz and Currency could have showed out, and they have tapes together. They made records together. I think it would have been a great versus on 420.
I think it's because they're still like popping in a way compared to the other artists that were there. Like, what's the most popping artist that came on versus
Ross versus 2 Chainz. That's all I could think of.
But that was the most boring out of all of them because they're still popping. Right?
That's true.
No one cared about that. And and they have like two strong fan bases, you know, especially 2 Chainz.
Even then, I didn't appreciate the battle within itself because I didn't think their styles meshed well together. At least
exactly, that's what I mean. So it's like
he changes trap lavish, but like Ross is more flashy, shiny, glossy, lavish.
You know,
Ash Martin music. You know,
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like if they're still on top of their game. So
that's true.
It's unnecessary.
I mean, hell, 2 Chainz just killed a feature with Benny the Butcher.
Yeah,
plus I met too.
What was the last? Drake just did the feature with Rick Ross.
That is true,
and that was like the highlights of that week. So
yeah, no, better than Lemon Pepper freestyle, in my opinion.
So no, these artists are still good. So having Wiz Khalifa come into this event, like this event is literally for the old heads, and that's why Method Man versus Redman makes a lot more sense than Currency.
That's fair.
Because you told me that, it's like, let me think about it. So I had some time.
That's fair. That's fair. But I don't know if you know this, but they also just announced too SWV versus Escape.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for May.
All right. So they're really planning out ahead as they should. And I think they should have planned a lot better with the Ghostface Killer versus Raekwon. And there's a lot more people. Because I remember seeing a rapper I follow on Twitter. It's like, how come no one told me about this? I'm like the biggest Wu-Tang fan. I'm disappointing everybody.
Right.
It's just
Triller's fault. I blame Triller and I blame.
Because it was a Saturday night, as you said.
Saturday.
There's nothing going on. All right, so you're just gonna chill. You're gonna watch a movie at 7:00. Oh, it's 10. Let me check Twitter. What? I just missed this big event. Now I'm pissed.
Exactly. You have to think about everything coming back to normal now. Not everyone is going to be staying at home anymore. Like, this is a thing you have to work out now. Like, this is a thing. I don't know. Maybe do versus watch parties now. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing that can happen. But it's just a thought, man.
Yeah. Speaking of watch parties, Most people may have to do a watch party in order to watch Black Widow
Bruh,
on Disney.
bruh, dude, Disney Premiere, I mean Disney Disney Plus access, Premiere access is this feature where movies that are being released, new movies that are being released that are also being released in theaters, you have to pay $30 at home essentially. And Black Widow is going to be one of those prominent movies that to be coming out
1 year later.
1 year later, and it got pushed back again. So essentially, it was supposed to come out in May around Memorial Day weekend, but now it got pushed back to July 9th. And it's also going to be available for $30 at home on the Disney app, which, by the way, if you pay the $6.99 just for the Disney app or the $13.99 for the Hulu and the ESPN
Just the
Plus,
price went up.
yeah. Oh, and the price did go up to like $14, I
No,
believe.
$13.99. You're right.
13?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, just wanted to make sure. I think it's complete BS. I hate the Premier Access. And the major reason why I hate the Premier Access is because what they did with Mulan. Like it came out during when did that come out, Bastion? It came out like what? Fall,
November.
November, and then like 1 month later, it was free. It was available for free.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to make the most money out of it, but I'm not gonna blame them because it is an experiment, which is why HBO did the same thing, but they did it for free with Wonder Woman. And,
Right.
and I could say like it probably went well. Everybody watched it the week it came out compared
Hated
to
it.
like yeah, it's like once they had the opportunity because it came out around Christmas. It was like there's no New Year's. I think
It was around Christmas time.
around Christmas time. I think I watched it
was
around.
Christmas.
I watched it around New Year's.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when people just checked it out. So compared to Disney and HBO, they're both experimenting on things that they've been thinking about for a very long time. Netflix has been
Right.
doing Netflix straight, Netflix
Yeah.
pay for it straight to Netflix.
Yeah, but those they're not giving you an extra paywall when it comes to HBO Max or Netflix. With Disney though, they're giving you a paywall for these new movies.
But it's a little bit different because these movies are designed to make a lot of money, right? Compared to Netflix stuff is just designed to make. Come on, like we never have you watched? Quick question: have you watched Coming to America 2?
No.
Oh, see, in any other instance, if it came out movie theater, we would have watched it.
No, I wouldn't.
Coming to America 2.
I've learned my lesson, Bastion. I've seen Zoolander 2, terrible. Bad Santa 2, terrible. Undercover Brother 2, terrible.
There's no
I'm
such
not
thing.
doing this anymore. No, there is a such thing as Undercover Brother 2. Michael J. White's in it. I'm telling you, it's real.
I don't believe you.
I'm 100% serious. But the main point is, when it comes to movies like Coming to America, there isn't any need for the second movie, so I don't want to watch it. That's just me. But anyways, continuing on.
When the hell did they make this movie?
I told you, bro. I told you.
Why is Michael J. White in this movie?
It is nothing like the first one. It is its own separate thing.
So what's his name? Didn't make any money off of it.
Of course not. They like Mike 2 did, man. Different characters, different setting, different everything. Okay, street ball instead of the NBA. Damn it.
Disgusting.
Bastion right now for all of you people that are just listening, he's looking at the actual movie poster of Undercover Brother 2 starring Michael J. White.
That's crazy that they didn't give it to Eddie Griffin.
Of course not.
All right.
And this was when Eddie Griffin was broke too.
Yeah. No, he's not broke, but
no, this is when he was.
Oh,
broke.
when he made the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the last topic of the day.
Yeah, before we wrap up soon. And that is the Zack Snyder cut is here of the Justice League. Many people have been singing its praises. They are very happy with what the Snyder cut of the Justice League is and was supposed to be, but it just made them that more angry because one, WB and Warner Brothers have no sort of plans moving forward to restart the Snyderverse, if you will, of the DCEU. Um, yeah, Bastion, what are your initial reactions and thoughts of the Snyder Cut?
So Snyder Cut is a 4 hour and 2 minute rated R movie, right? In
Broken
a
up into parts, I believe, correct?
yes, broken up into like maybe 6 parts, I could say. And it is also in a 4:3 aspect ratio, so it's kind of designed for like the IMAX.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching on like a crappy TV at the time, and I'm like, nah, this just sucks. This is black boxes everywhere. It kind of fits more of the old school TV, but no one has old school TVs anymore. Anyways, overall, first impression, I did watch bits and certain scenes again the second time around. I loved it. It's actually one of the better, like I say, comic book movies. In the terms comic, that if they were to bring this as a comic as a volume 1, 2, and 3, it makes a lot of sense that way.
Okay.
Because the first comic, you're introducing the villain and you're also introducing each character. Then by the second one, you get like, Batman to meet everybody else. And the third one, they all work together. So as a comic book, like a literal taking a comic book and throwing it into a movie, something like they could have done with Watchmen. Like if they did a 4 hour version of it, it would have been perfect. Just copy it. So that's how I feel about the Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's literally one of the best comic book, not superhero movie, comic book
Comic,
movie.
right.
Um, because you want to compare it to Marvel, like you just feel like comparing it to Marvel.
It's almost, yeah. You have to compare it to Marvel
And,
because those are the two big dogs.
and one thing I always said about like some of the DC films is like Marvel has done certain scenes. So when you
Mm-hmm.
see DC doing it and they did it badly, you're confused. It's like it's not impossible to do. And it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty because I've seen it done before and they did it really well there. It's
Right.
either do the same or do better. But if you did cheap, then it's just like what's going on. So in this movie, they did everything better and everything well. So like, I know you didn't watch the first one, but any
Nope.
fan will attest that when you watch Wonder Woman in the bank scene, like she's fighting really well. Then when you're watching like Wonder Woman 1984, I mean 1982, you're just
Oh,
like
1984. You're right.
1984.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, 1984. You're like, what movie is this? Why
Mm.
is she fighting in the mall? This sucks. All right, just overall, pretty much trying to break it down and explain, like the original Justice League is bad, like not
Yes.
good. Josh Whedon is the worst human being ever, right?
That was going to be my question. Does the um does the Snyder cut infuriate fans even more because of what
Yes,
occurred with the Joss Whedon cut?
it's so painful. Okay, let me just let people know. Like I did not watch the Justice League movie. I let my little brother watch it, and he explained to me. And then later on, I saw clips and pieces of it, like
Shout out to
watch
Marcus.
people do reviews, and I ended up watching it before watching this. Quickly, it's 2 hours. I was doing other things while watching the movie, and I was kind of annoyed by a lot of stuff. Then I watched the 4 hour movie. Then I go back to watch the 2 hour movie. Just skipping through scenes and realizing what went wrong because apparently this movie was shot right,
Mm-hmm.
but then Snyder left because of
Creative
something.
differences.
No, something happened in his family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Warner Brothers wanted to finish it up, so they hired Josh Whedon, and they did a lot of reshoots then fill in the scenes. So you
Mm.
could actually see what was Snyder and what was Whedon. And I could tell you 100% of anything Whedon touch was a 0 out of 10.
Ooh.
Like anything funny, anything gross and just like comical, it was not good at all. The whole Batman versus Superman scene when Superman came back was so much more impactful watching it in Snyder compared to watching it in the Whedon version because it felt comical. Batman is telling jokes throughout all Whedon's. Batman's like doing snarl remarks to Wonder Woman. It's like, oh, you're not doing anything. You're hiding in the shadows. When that's not true because you literally saw her fighting in the bank earlier in the movie. So it's like it doesn't line up. and all these characters don't make sense. And of course, the biggest middle finger was to Cyborg, who had no
Yeah.
role whatsoever in the Whedon, but in the Snyder universe, it's like he was so important to the role, to the movie. Like everything revolved around him. The reason they were able to win is because of the things they showed him doing in behind the scene. His dad has a lot more character. Even
Yep.
Barry was more interesting as the Flash, and they were showing like ways his power worked. That's what people were saying. Like the Flash had a lot more interesting scenes than in the regular one. So yeah, I could tell you that it was a painful decision for DC to just hire Josh Whedon to cut up and paste his own idea what the movie should be instead of the Snyderverse that we ended up accidentally getting.
Now, Bastion, I keep hearing this a lot. All right. I keep seeing this around. So I'm going to ask you, is this version of the Justice League better than Endgame?
Um, it's really hard to compare it, but if I were to compare the movies together,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, I would say this was nah. Like I said, it's too hard to compare because Endgame is like this is a wrap. It's literally the conclusion. This movie
Right.
is the beginning, middle, and end of something that should come in the future. But the Endgame is like the conclusion, and
Right.
there's too many emotional strings that you're connected to the characters.
That is true.
It's
This
10
was like
years.
the 11-year
Yeah,
journey.
yeah. Like you're
Fair.
10 years with Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. Like to see him end his career, his Iron Man role there, it was just it's too good. It's too
Mm-hmm.
perfect. So no, I
Enough.
can't compare it.
That's fair. No,
It'll
that's 100% fair.
yeah, it'll be bad to compare. But if I want to say that out of all Marvel movies, I guess the most comic book one would be like the first Iron Man,
Yeah.
um, the first Justice League. I mean, the first Avengers movie,
Yeah. Oh, is
and
it better than the first Avengers movie?
what this movie? No, no. In
Yeah.
terms of comic books, like if you could
Okay.
convert a movie into a comic book,
Yeah.
like no matter which Marvel movie, because I don't think any other Marvel movie would have been a good comic.
That's a good point.
Because
That's fair.
maybe Spider-Man movies could be a good comic. It's
That's
just funny.
fair. And
But
I think
yeah,
and I think, what you were saying is fair because, as we were saying, Marvel has had this like long journey to get to up to that point where, DC, it was starting that journey, but it just felt like a lot of it was just rushed into it, and then there was a lot of speed bumps in the middle with, Batman versus Superman, and people are iffy about even Man of Steel still, and Wonder Woman. I know a lot of people liked Wonder Woman, but you don't even like Wonder Woman, and then Suicide Squad happened. So there was just a lot of bumps in between the road to get to the Justice League. And so I guess my final question before we have to wrap up, unfortunately, is, does it irk you that Warner Brothers has no intention at all of renewing the Snyderverse at all? Like they have none whatsoever. So like after this Snyder cut, they're just like, hey, here's what Snyder done, and we're just gonna move on to what we've been doing in the DCEU, apparently.
it doesn't irk me. But it does give people a chance to understand like especially Snyder, because I know people were pointing fingers at Snyder as like the reason why everything sucked, but in the end we realized like no, he's
It was just the
perfect.
direction. Yeah, it was just the
Josh
direction
Whedon
of the
sucks,
company.
and he's
Yeah.
like I'll say he's canceled out the industry, but like he sucks. So, and at the end of the day, it's like okay, we got a really really good Justice League movie, and we're not getting anything out of it, and that's fine because at any other dimension, any other timeline that COVID isn't happening, we're not getting that movie. We're not getting this movie. No way they would care to give us the 4-hour film, right? Like, 'cause remember, it was a joke. Release the Snyder Cut, and every actor said like, "Yeah, the
That is
Snyder Cut
true.
is way better."
I kept hearing that.
And
We kept hearing that for the longest.
and for
I
me,
kept ridiculing people
and
for it.
no, for me, I thought that yeah, like I've seen extended versions of the Batman versus Superman. It was boring. I don't
Yeah,
care. Yeah, they
that is
fixed the
true.
story a little bit, sure, but I don't care. But this is a different movie completely. Like it's really hard to describe that. Most of the scenes are exactly the same, but the beginning, middle, and end is completely different. So like just let people know, like the first scene in the Josh Whedon film is like the Superman funeral and people going crazy in the street because Superman's not there. It's like they're like the gods died and everybody's like going crazy. But in this Josh Whedon in the Snyder one, it makes more sense because you see Superman screaming, right, yelling because of his death, and his screams shake all over the world, hence waking up the mother box. Now starting a real story. Then they explain the mother box, and that's like Batman shooting a demon and seeing like, oh, there's three squares on the wall, and it's like that doesn't make any sense. Like this story, they structured it. It was nicely woven, and the things they show in the beginning happen in the end. Hence, finishing the triangle of making a movie. If you want to win, if you want to show the hero to win, you have to show them how in the first act, or that triangle in the third act. So yeah, it's sad, dude. It's disgusting.
Sorry, DC fans. And with that, we
That's
gotta
why, Gio, if I recommend, like, if you have free time,
watch
just
it.
yeah, out of all movies, like I don't like in my opinion, you should watch all 4 hours straight like I did. It was painful,
Okay.
but like it makes sense. But don't watch it. And if you want to, listeners at home, watch the 4 hours. Then don't watch the regular Justice League movie. Just skim through it. Just skim through it, and you'll see exactly like where the differences are. That's all
Okay.
I recommend. All right.
I got you, man. And with that, unfortunately, people, we have got to go. Thank you so much for tuning into Black Seinfeld, the show about nothing. We'll see you again next week. It's going to be the final week of March. We're going to be going into April soon. I think the next show is going to be April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Yes, it is.
So until then, we thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to go out to the internet from their album Hive Mind, and this is called Come Over. So, from everyone here at Black Seinfeld, we'll see you again next week. Peace.